Welcome to Photoshop. In this, the first movie for Photoshop, we're going to take a look at how do I take one image from one file. How do I take a picture, this picture, and how do I put that picture into another Photoshop file? So as you can see, I have this file, and it's got a lot of layers in it that will get composited together. But I also have this image of this girl, and I want to take her over to that other file. So there's a few ways that I can do this, and the first thing I want to do is I'm going to, this over here on the left-hand side, this is my toolbar. A lot of these tools are very self-explanatory, and we'll be using these tools throughout our different tutorials. So right now I'm grabbing the select tool up here, and I'm kind of moving this photographic image around, and as I move it I can see that it's actually bigger than the canvas here. So the first thing I want to do is size this girl down, and so in order to do that I'm going to come over here to the edit menu, and I will transform this, and we'll be transforming a lot. So transforming is just sizing. That's all it is. Sizing, rotating, flipping, things like that, putting things in perspective. So when I went into that transform file, or transform function, which is under edit, I do free transform, what I get is this rectangular bounding box, and it has these little toggles. So I'm just grabbing that toggle and I'm moving it around. I'm just sizing down. Now it's staying in aspect ratio because I'm holding the shift key. If I was not holding the shift key, you see that I could also make that file not in aspect ratio, but I do want to keep it in aspect ratio. I really don't care that much about the pen that she's holding. I'd rather just get that part of the image, and again I don't care about the pen, but I'd like to pretty much get all of that. So that will be what I'll be cutting. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to get this tool, which is the selection tool. Now when you look at the toolbar, my darned Apple menu keeps on popping up here. When you look at the toolbar on the left-hand side, every time you click these tools, you'll notice that this little kind of panel changes up here. And so as you're going through and clicking tools, the panel up here represents things that you can do with that tool. So this is called the quick selection tool, and it's probably one of the best things that you can do for cutting and pasting one image onto another. And so I'm going to use this tool, and I'm going to kind of paint is not necessarily the right word, but I'm going to sample what's in the background here. And what's really important when you're cutting and pasting is to get a really smooth edge. What's very challenging about getting a smooth edge is when you're dealing with hair and things of that nature. So this is a great example of a challenge because to really get a good matte, you want to get all these sort of like little hairs that are on the outside here as much as you can. And so what we're going to do right now, we're adding to the cut. Now what I want to do is I want to subtract. So this is the quick selection tool options up here. So I can add to a cut or I can subtract from a cut. When I subtract from this cut, I'm going to reduce the size of this sampling brush a little bit, and I'm going to very carefully just add to where these little kind of flyaway hairs are on the outside of this cut. And I'm going to do this really carefully because I don't want to take too much stuff, but I want to take just enough to make it look realistic when I start to cut it. All right, that's pretty good. And down here, we'll actually do the same thing. I'm going to, actually, that's all right. What we'll do is we'll actually add down here to this outline of a cut. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, now, so I've made the outline, and as you can see, what I'm actually cutting is the area from the outline to the dancing, marching, I call these marching ants along the outside. So the area that I'm cutting right now, I'm telling the file to cut this area, not her, but actually this area. So in order to invert this so that it's selecting her and not the outline, or not the outside, I go to the select tool or the select menu up here and I simply say invert that cut. Now you don't see the marching ants up here. Now we see her being enclosed by this cut. All right, now next thing I'm going to do, again, in the selection area here, I'm going to say I want to refine this edge. Now what's really great is this red area tells me exactly what it is I'm cutting and not cutting. So anything that's like in this red masked area, I'm not going to get with my cut, which is perfect. So the radius allows me to change the radius back and forth of the outline of that cut. So I am going to expand it just a little bit, let that process. And then there's a lot of things that I can do to the line, the edge itself, including I can feather the edge a little bit, and that gives it just a little bit of a softness right around here. I can also use this tool called contrast, and again that hits the edge. And then shift edge allows me to tighten the edge just a little bit or shift it out just a little. These are very subtle, so I'll kind of show you the big changes. Shift edge, now look at this. When I shift the edge out, it's expanding the edge. So let's shift that back in a little bit. So you can keep on sort of noodling around with these, and you can look at what's happening over here and really see what you're getting. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. All right, so I'll take that, click OK, and now we will cut. So I simply came up here to cut. I could have copied as well, but a cut is fine. And now I'm going to come over here to, this is the file I want to lay that cut into. So I come here to paste under the edit menu, or I could just do Command V. And as you can see, this is a pretty decent soft-edged cut. I could have done a little bit more with the hair here, obviously, but that's okay. We'll let that go for now. All right, so now we've got the girl here. Now what happens if I want to make her smaller in this area? So again, I come to Edit, and now where do I go? Where do you think I go next? If you said Free Transform, you're correct. So Free Transform puts the bounding box around the girl. I grab the toggle handle, and I simply size down. Now what happens if I wanted to rotate her as well? The toggle handle turns into a rotational two-headed arrow curvy thing when I'm holding it up in the corner. So you'll see that it changes from sizing to rotating just by the position of where that cursor is. When I'm ready to apply the cut for real, I simply double click and now the cut is applied. With the tool selected up here, the Move tool, I can put her anywhere that I want her to be. So that's very simply how to do a cut and paste and a resize.